Hello my stars, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Basil, and today I am reading Impact Takes Control by Rekka_77 on AO3, Chapter 4, One for All. It was another one of these missions again, because of course it was. It was like fighting against the Leonard Hydra, cutting one head off and two growing back. The new people running this ring hadn't even tried that hard, reforming their new fighting ring on the exact same place it had been broken apart 2 years earlier. Did the new owners think that the police and heroes wouldn't investigate this building because they already had a crackdown here? Fools, all of them. So, now, he was here among the smell of sweat, blood, and booze, watching a shirtless man with red hair, crimson scales covering his body, and a long whip-like tail facing off against a woman, whose body looked like it was particularly made of ribbons and cloth. Her hair was even made of ribbons. Despite the obvious disadvantages the lizard guy had, he was holding his own, sending spikes and flares out of his hands, burning the cloth and ribbons. So that was the balancing act, then. The ribbon lady had to figure out how to overcome these aspects. So, what was his end goal here? Well, figuring out if there was someone funding these all, because this thing came out of nowhere, popping up in less than a week. All for One was supposed to be defeated, but maybe this was Shigaraki, or some unknown force, pulling the strings. It was illogical to waste his time here when he can trace the source of the money. He'll just have the local police come here and shut the place down. But in the meantime, there's other people he has to reach out to. Namely, the Vigilante Alliance. Its name is somewhat of a missionary, because a great deal of underground heroes and government spies are involved. But the name doesn't really matter, because it's a massive source of information that often makes its way down the grapevine to the more legitimate heroes. Even All Might, to some degree, had used information from the Vigilantes Alliance. His first contact was Black Ice, one of the more enduring vigilantes in the Alliance. He knew where the vigilantes spent most of the time. The Ageharaki bar, usually wearing a disguise. He could have any hairstyle, any clothing, and vary in height and weight, but he always has the same drink. The dry ice booster. And sure enough, sitting in the back middle of the bar was a very thin guy with wild gray hair and a neon orange cloak covering his form, sipping on a dry ice booster. "Hey, Eraser, I didn't expect to see you here," said a slightly scratchy voice sipping on his drink. The big guy's death should have simplified things, but in reality about 80% of those strings were in his hands. And when he let go, they all scattered around. People scattered to pick them up. Sure, his successors picking up a few, but there's some fat fractions picking up threads. And from what I can tell, there's one hand picking up quite a few of them. I'm not exactly sure who was picking them up, but these fighting rings are receiving a bunch of funding from an unknown source. Probably arms dealers supplying weapons to factions in the Chinese Civil War. Billions of yen are shifting around in the underworld, and it's not something I can really trace that well. You might want to ask someone with a better head for numbers. Black Ice handed him a slip of a crumpled lined paper with a coffee cup stain on it, sliding it along the slightly sticky bar-room table. "This guy might be more what you're looking for. I'd hold off contacting him for a few days now. He's taking care of something in Slovenia. Have a great day, Eraser." With that, the vigilante got up from the bar and left. He unfolded the note to see a number scrawled across in red marker. Over it looks like some long-form arithmetic? But that's not important. The only note the vigilante had added to the phone number was, "Number is dude. Don't call for a few days. Thanks, Black Ice." Now that that's wrapped up, he has to take care of another thing. Or person. Actually, his problem child, Midoriya Izuku. And the first step to understanding Midoriya is talking to All Might. He'll do that tomorrow, because as much as All Might had denied it, there was some connection there. He'd asked Mezou about it, but the principal seemed more reserved than he expected, dodging around the question, which in a way was an admission in and of itself. Maybe it had to do with All Might's quirk. He knew that the former hero could no longer act as a professional hero, and could only use the muscle form for a moment. Midoriya's development with his quirk was drastic, almost like he didn't have it for a while. The fact that they have the same self-sacrificing nature and often hang out together. So here he was, sitting in the teacher's lounge in his sleeping bag, watching the coffee machine work its magic. This was his strategy to trap All Might. He knows the guy stalks the coffee machine almost as much as he and President Mike do, which is why he's lying here now. And sure enough, a few moments after the coffee machine beeped, All Might walked in, dressed as usual in an ill-fitting suit colored a horrific mustard yellow. Another thing the two of them share, terrible fashion sense. I need to ask you a question, he asked, slipping out of his sleeping bag as All Might was getting a cup. The former hero set the cup down, his look serious. What did you want to ask me, Aizawa? It's about Midoriya. Aizawa watched as All Might gained a peculiar look on his face, because that guy was not subtle at all. What about Midoriya? He's a fine heroics course student. You're not subtle, All Might. Everyone in the school knows how much you favor him. And I've heard stories from Eijirou and Ida about how Midoriya recognized All for One, a supervillain that you seem to have special knowledge of. There's no use to lie, All Might. The former hero was deep in thought for a long while, tapping his fingers on the table, until after a few minutes, he spoke. I suppose you should have known all along, and I probably would have told you about it if Midoriya had gotten it later, but here it goes. So, it started with two brothers. Aizawa wanted to slap All Might for being so stupid. His decision to teach at UA was the main reason All for One decided to target the school, and his class in particular. Did you realize what a stupid decision coming here to teach was? You knew All for One would target you wherever you went, and you decided to go to the school? We were lucky that no students died, but either way. He took a deep breath and then sighed. I shouldn't blame you for All for One's actions, but we were over that bridge now. I'm still trying to get the commission to execute him, but it's stuck in legal hell. Anyway, while I would have liked to know this in advance, and the fact that the both principal and recovery girl knew about this, well, it sort of made sense. A crack team dedicated to rooting out All for One. It would have been a bigger problem if Midoriya had less control over his quirk, or your quirk, or whatever. But that explains a lot. Thank you for being honest, All Might. He'd met up with Gran Torino a few times on underground missions. The hero wasn't afraid to fight dirty, and it would make sense for him to teach those techniques to Midoriya, especially if his quirk was still developing. And with the speed of how Midoriya picked up the techniques and skill, of course he looked like he was so experienced. Still, he'll keep a closer eye on Midoriya, and maybe bring in the Gran Torino for more training about fighting dirty. Alright, my stars, that is the end of this chapter. This chapter is really, really short. I think this is one of the shortest chapters, unless chapter 5 is shorter, but we'll see that in a bit. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I know I have. We have one more chapter to go before the end of this. I like how short these chapters are. It's really bringing me motivation to do more chapter fics. But if you guys have any recommendations on fics you want me to read, please put them down in the comments below. I am running out of fics to read. I have 2 more fics that I can read, one of them being my own fics, and another one being a K-pop Demon Hunter fic. So, recommendations are very appreciated. the only conditions I have for them is if they aren't finished, or if they aren't finished from like years ago. Say there's a fic ongoing right now, I'll podfic that. But I'll maybe podfic that because I don't know if the author might finish it or not. I don't know. But if there's a fic you want me to read that is unfinished from like 2 years ago, I will not be podficking that because 1, I don't want to leave my videos on cliffhangers, and 2, I don't know if the authors check the comments after like 2 years on a fic, so I might not even get a reply at all. But like recommendations would be nice, and also another condition for the recommendations is please do not give me huge lengthy fics. As you can see, I don't do much long chapter fics. So far, my longest one has been Show Us Who You Are, and that already took a lot of that out of me. The recording process and then like everything, that just took a lot out of me. If it's a long chapter fic with short chapters, that's fine, I'll take that. But don't give me like fics with like 50 chapters or so. I will not be reading those yet. I might be reading those in the future, but for now, no. Anyways, my stars, I am back from holiday, as you heard in the earlier video. And I really hope to be uploading more now that I'm back. But yeah, that's all for today. And my Discord and socials are in the description below. If you guys have any thoughts, feelings on this chapter, you can put them down in the comments below. I always love to see them. And any recommendations can also go in the comments down below. Now, don't forget to take care of yourself, drink water, and eat, and do whatever you need to do. Goodbye, my stars. See you in the next one.